Hello and welcome to the 50th episode of the American Fitbaw Cast.
Whoop whoop. Milestone.
Made our half century, we can raise the bat.
That means in a couple of episodes we're going to be matched up with the number of the Super Bowl. It'll be the one time it can only happen.
Yeah, well, surpass it.
We've now done the same amount of episodes as Steve is years old.
Ouch. That's harsh. Although every time I keep looking at stuff and I'm like, oh my god, that's like 8 years ago in the NFL world. It feels like about 2 years ago now. It's terrible. It is terrible.
So as you can hear, as ever, I'm joined by the usual crew. Gav, Steve, how are you both?
All good, yes. Very busy week. My other half is gallivanting off stateside. Well, she's in Canada. So I'm full-time single dad mode and it's brutal. Anyway, enough about my... I have no time to do anything. I was so underprepared this week. It's awful.
Excellent. I'm excellent.
You're excellent. Good to know. Right, we jump straight into it. So we're just going to stick with the format we've gone with over the first couple of weeks. We're going to speak about 3 games, 3 players, and then we'll do our predictions later on and see who's doing well and not so well. Steve.
Yeah, just call it now. Absolutely brutal.
So since I've had a dig at you, you can have the honour of leading off, and you want to speak about the Thursday night game, the Titans at the Jaguars.
Yeah, so first game of the week, well, we obviously, and it kind of flows quite nicely from the last episode where you focused in on the legend that is Gardner Minshew. This boy is he's creating an off-field persona that is eclipsing, what he's capable of doing.
He's like Baker Mayfield, but good at football.
What a guy. So Jacksonville won, which I wasn't so sure about. I think if we'd put that on the predictions, I probably would have got that one wrong as well and gone with the Titans, because they had been playing okay.
I thought it was going to be closer for sure.
Oh yeah, but
I would have had the Titans on that one as well, to be fair. Yeah.
My word was Saxonville back or what? 9 sacks they got as a defence. Callie Campbell was just ripping the team apart. 3 sacks, a couple of forced fumbles, there was another 5 quarterback hits or something. It was just lunacy numbers.
I'm not upset to see that at all, no. You shouldn't still be doing that in
3
Arizona colours.
Oh yeah, and 4 tackles for a loss. I mean, that on its own is just ridiculous in one game.
Yeah.
And everyone else was playing their part. There was sacks all over the place. Even Yannick Ngukwe, however it's pronounced, nothing. He actually didn't. He contributed about 2 tackles, and that was it. Interesting. Jalen Ramsey played all defensive snaps.
Yep.
Which I thought was quite interesting with the whole. And then that whole potential trade thing really seems to have disappeared very quickly.
Went really quiet over the weekend.
Really
didn't it?
quiet.
Nothing at all.
Shahid Khan came out and said he has no objection making him the highest paid cornerback in the league. Which really is I think that's his goal. He's absolutely all about the money. But his gripes have been more about how he plays. He doesn't like his own defense. He wants to be man. He wants to be your traditional. I will take out half a field on my own. Easy.
Create an island.
Yeah, he's the best man-to-man corner in the league.
Up there.
Certainly up there. Yeah, there's not going to be many that are better. Plus he's got youth on his side as well, which helps.
He's going to get paid.
He is absolutely going to get paid. He's going to reset cornerback market whenever that gets done, whether it's during the season or straight after, I don't know, or whether it is with another team, don't know. So on the flip side, the defensive performance for Jacksonville was great, but how poor is the Titans O-line at the minute? I mean, Taylor Lewan's out for 4 games with the drug thing.
The PEDs.
Performance enhancing drug. I genuinely don't believe he actually meaningfully took it. The video he released seemed pretty damn sincere. So it's a massive loss. And no one else is really stepping up. They are struggling mightily. I mean, Mariota taken 9 sacks. He is now taken 17 through 3
He's
weeks.
a huge part of their offensive line. And he's also a leader for their team.
So it's the most any quarterback has taken through the first 3 weeks of the season, I think.
Yeah, it must be. It's on pace for absolute ridiculous levels of record setting. And I don't fancy them to.
Kyler Murray's only 1 behind him.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's not good.
So he's been sacked more than he's suffered more sacks in his first 3 games as a starter than any other person previously.
Dearie me, that's not good. But yeah, Mariota is struggling. This was a big year for him anyway, and this is not helping the situation much.
I think the other issue that the Titans have is the pressure that's sort of coming around about to drop Mariota. You can't put Ryan Tannehill in a leaky offensive line because he's going to
get just as battered anyway. So.
And he will be injured after about 3 plays.
And then you just have to bring Mariota back in.
Yeah.
Again, so they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Don't know what variables.
I think
going forward.
You ride it out till Lewan's back. Play some games with Lewan back. See what changes are there.
Improvement. Yeah. And if you're going to pull the trigger about week 8 or 9, because by then you've almost got no option. Yeah. They'll know if they're on the outside looking in and they've got a chance of a sneaky wild card, or whether their season's already done, which at the pace they're going at, it will be.
Are these two looking like the basement teams in that division? Texans to me look comfortably the strongest of the 4.
Yeah, Colts are definitely playing better than I gave them credit for. I thought the loss of Andrew Luck was going to be too severe for them to overcome, but Jacoby Brissett has really totally put that to bed. They are playing very well. But as Ballard came out and said, I'm not really that worried because we're a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, they've got excellent pieces throughout that offense with T.Y. Hilton and Mack and the tight end whose name escapes me.
Ebron?
That's the one, yeah.
But yes, no, you're right.
But yeah,
they're all good.
They're strong across the board, across the offense. So they just need a competent quarterback rather than an elite one, I think. And Brissett certainly looks competent.
Yeah. So obviously after the first 2 weeks, I thought the Jags were in just utter free fall and disarray. They've done enough to make me think, okay, I don't quite fear for them as much. It'll be interesting to see how they get on this weekend. I don't know who they play. Has anyone got the schedules up? No, that's fine. Whoever they play this week, we'll check that out later as we go.
So do the Jags play you were looking for?
To see are they going to be able to rebound, or have they got an absolute stinker coming up that could set them the wrong way again?
They've got the Broncos, so they could.
So it could be that could be them bouncing back. They could be 500. Again, the Broncos are kind of struggling this season. It is away, they are away from home, so we'll see how they travel. But really solid performance from Jacksonville. It was quite interesting to see. But as much and as we talked about, it's pure Tennessee. After starting the season so well, going into Cleveland and causing hell, they've really kind of fallen by a bit.
So Jaguars are at Broncos, at Panthers, so the next 2 games look okay. And they're at home to the Saints, so they probably take a loss again there. But then it's at Bengals, then home to the Jets. So their next 5 games.
There's one you'd probably say they're going to struggle with. The other 4 are all winnable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then all the bad first 2 games can be put to rest, because by that time then you're talking about when Foles is coming back. If he's coming back.
It is a big if, and actually there's
quarterback controversy.
They've just paid him, and then they look like they found a gem.
Found a guy. So so that was a really interesting game. I had actually only watched them up to nearly half time. Only one of the sacks in the first half. The other 8 was in the second half when Tennessee were chasing the game. In terms of offensive plays, Tennessee was 2-1 in favour. They did 75 plays versus Jacksonville's 50, so they were on the field way longer. But they just couldn't get anywhere against that defence. It was something.
Yeah. Gav, you want to talk about the Steelers at the San Francisco 49ers and what went on there?
This game was really good actually, 24-20 to the 49ers. I'll start with first bit of controversy is maybe around about, is Jimmy Garoppolo really a starting quarterback? So 277 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He didn't look that impressive, and San Fran really relied on their run game and their defence, so it's really got them through this game. For me, there's been question marks over Garoppolo for a couple of weeks now. Even so, the 49ers are 3-0. His performances aren't the reason why they're 3-0.
They're winning in spite of him.
Pretty much.
He did okay last week though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Because they thought this was the beginnings of what Shanahan's offence always should have been with him at the reins.
shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, so they really relied on their run game, and they are an absolute committee in the backfield. Breda and Mozart pretty much split carries, split yards. There wasn't a lot between them, and then Jeff Wilson got all the end zone work, which was brilliant for anyone that had either of those two players in fantasy.
Did you?
I did. I had Matt Breda. Thankfully, I still managed to win. I'm back on track. Yeah, so Wilson came in for both goal line carries and 2 touchdowns, which, from a fantasy point of view, you'll be annoyed at that, right? But from a 49ers point of view, they're keeping their players fresh in those sort of situations. George Kittle was absolutely amazing. I think that he's just the new Gronk. He's going to get better and better and better. He's such a good receiver.
For me, there's certainly 3 tight ends in the league that you could argue are the best.
Yeah. Oh, hands down.
He's
And there's
one
a
of those
big gap. There's a big gap between the sort of top 3 and
you've got
thereafter.
Everybody else.
Kittle, Kelsey and Ertz, and then a massive gap to anyone else.
Yeah, totally agree. What I want to really sort of focus in on was the 49ers front 7 is scary. We tend to talk a lot about offense, and if we talk about defense, it's usually Steve. So yeah, I just thought, give a little bit of love to the defense from the 49ers. They looked really good. DeForest Buckner, D Ford.
See, Nick Bosa went 3 for 3 on the injury report this season.
Bosa's going to Bosa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quan Alexander. There's such a underrated defense. They deserve to be really respected. Steelers.
Are they the best defense in their division?
Probably.
I think you have their defense above the Rams' defense. Yeah.
The Rams out with Aaron Donald are okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas all those guys are quite.
Seahawks are still sneaky good, and actually Arizona's doing really quite well.
No, it's not. It's horrendous.
Okay. I was trying to give you some love there.
So there are parts of the Arizona defense which look brilliant, namely Chandler Jones, and then up the middle it's horrendous.
So your linebacking core, you mean?
I think,
it's just so soft. You can run through it quite easily.
I was just going to say, when we sort of spoke about this division, I don't think any of us envisaged the 49ers being 3-0.
No, definitely not.
And I think for the Cardinals, you're probably bottom of your division.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a rebound year. It's given Kyler Murray one season to, work his way through what he needs to do. It's happened with many teams before. I wouldn't panic too much yet. If there's no year 2 jump next season, that's a bigger problem for you. But Micah Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah.
All right, first game.
Yeah, he was great.
Just the 2 interceptions.
Just the 2 interceptions. And
standard game.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was everywhere. That looks like a really smart pickup.
He did get absolutely destroyed by the Niners fullback.
Was it Kyle Juzak?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a step arm across a step arm.
Threw him to the ground.
He bounced off the floor. It was that much force. It was like a power slam in wrestling.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Take that.
I think from a Steelers point of view, we spoke about Mike Tomlin being a potential risk. That risk is looking real, in my opinion. They did not look good on the attacking side of the ball.
Is he going to get a get out with
he's
Roethlisberger
got the
being
reason.
injured?
That's maybe the only bit that's you used it last week, wasn't it? Yeah.
There will be a casualty, whether it's him or in the front office, because they've not replaced. James Conner isn't a replacement for Lev Bell. His numbers are really bad. He fumbled the ball
this season. Consider it's almost like he got away with it last year.
Yeah,
because last year you thought he was pretty well entrenched as certainly solid production for the Steelers, but actually in a, easily the top 10 in terms of production in running backs. He was easily going to be there this season, and he's not going to do it. So you can already call it now. He's not going to be in that final 10.
Yep.
Mason Rudolph, not even 50% on completion.
170 yards.
Or just over. Only 174 yards.
It's not looking great.
And that's only helped by a 76-yarder to Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep.
Take that off the board, and he didn't even break 100 yards.
Not good. Not good in Pittsburgh. So, yeah. 49ers look sneaky dangerous. Steelers look bad. Summary done.
Excellent. Well, I'll move on to my game then. So I'm going to talk about the Giants at the Buccaneers, which was a really good game. Really good game. So the Giants came out on top on this one, 32-31. The Bucs had a chance to win it at the end. Missed a field goal. I don't know what distance it was from. I don't know if it
wasn't huge. It was like 37 maybe.
Yeah, so a very gettable field goal.
Oh dear.
Because it was some play from Jameis Winston to
get them there.
On that final drive was
what, the
unbelievable.
28th best quarterback in the league? But I routinely put way higher than that.
Winston had a really good game.
Yeah, he was 23 completions from 37 attempts, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Which
You'll take that every week.
It was really interesting in the so Brian Leftwich is their offensive coordinator who worked with Arians at Arizona.
Did you?
And the commentators were talking. They said that in the meeting they do with the coaches before the game, and they said that they were speaking to Leftwich, and he'll call a play up, and Arians will go over to him and say, throw it deep. And in this game you've seen that. I mean, Mike Evans, who we'll speak about later, but it was just when I heard that I was like, that's awesome. Like Arians.
It was. Mike Evans had a huge game, but you're going to speak about him as your focused player. But just his overall numbers: 8 receptions, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns from 15 targets. Not bad. They were all very early in the game. The Bucs looked like they were going to stroll this early on, and then sort of Daniel Jones got a hold of that New York offense. His stats were 23 completions from 36 attempts, 336 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. He also ran 2 touchdowns in as well. So he had an excellent game in that regard. But the one sort of note of caution with Daniel Jones is his ball security.
Yeah.
And it's something that's been talked about actually quite a lot, even before the start of the season, is that ball security was an issue for him. He lost 2 fumbles in this game. So
that's easily the difference. He doesn't do that. They've easily won. Did they win anyway?
They won.
They won anyway.
Yeah,
I'd
but
be going by far more.
Yes. And another big concern for the Giants and for my fantasy prospects this season is that Saquon Barkley went out the game with a high ankle sprain and looks set to miss 5 or 6 weeks, something like that.
Dreaded high ankle
similar
sprain.
injury to what Tyreek Hill had, I'm sure. I'm sure they're both
Is
4
it?
to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I thought Tyreek Hill was a shoulder.
Oh, so it was.
Yeah.
So it was. I made that up.
But it's the same length though. Same length though, it's multiple weeks. Yeah. That's a harsh blow for Giants because you think they might have just begun to turn a corner. But losing Saquon's gonna, because then they'll block up whoever the backups are.
But saying that, they lost him early in this game and they still came back from a pretty poor position to pull out a win on the road, which no one was really expecting them to do. So positives as well for them.
Yeah. I think Daniel Jones, so his touchdown that he scored where he ran it in, that's something that the Giants really didn't have with Eli.
Yep.
So that threat that Jones is at least mobile enough. The commentators sort of compared him to Carson Wentz in the sense of he's not going to run it a lot, but when he does, he's dangerous. So.
So he's got the intelligence to know that actually this is a very good opportunity for me to run.
Yeah.
I don't know how many rushing attempts he actually had in the game, but to go in for 2 rushing touchdowns from however many attempts is
I would,
good sign.
For any Giants fan, I would still throw an air of caution to this result because really the Bucs should not have missed that kick. And yes, there's positives, but I think that when you see it a lot where teams are happy to give up yards because they don't want to give up the big play, but then they don't realise that they're giving up lots of plays that equate to big yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was things for me that I think maybe the Bucs could have adjusted to in that sense and actually maybe encouraged Jones to go deep and try and beat them because of the Giants' receiving core. Ingram's good, Sterling's good, but I think the Bucs defence this year looks pretty legit, and the corners is probably one of their best areas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my takeaway.
So that sort of sums up the games that we're going to go through and gives us a nice segue into a couple of the players that we want to speak about. So we'll go with you, Gav, as we mentioned earlier. You want to speak about Mike Evans.
So Mike Evans, the question I wanted to put to both of you on Mike Evans was, how far do you think he could go in the game if he wasn't having the ball thrown to him by Jameis Winston? That's a serious question.
He is.
He's a top
5.
Yeah, 5 was what I was going to say. Top 5 receiver.
If he is top 5, he's like 5th though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
which is why I then backed
right
out
up.
of it.
He's right up the top of the standings, right? Let's say that.
Seems we love a debate about where people are ranked. So who you put above him, just out of curiosity?
Julio Jones, Nick Hopkins.
Nick Hopkins is number 1.
Yep.
Julio Jones.
Yep.
Odell
is on the same plane.
Yeah.
There's someone else that I've told.
Keenan Allen?
Nah.
I wouldn't take.
He's top 5.
It would have been AB, but obviously there's a bit of a problem with that now at the minute.
The fact that he's now said he's retired.
Well, yeah.
So I guess my point was, right, so there's not much between Mike Evans and the other names that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Mike Evans probably doesn't get that much love compared to, for example.
He seems to me he's very much going to be the trajectory he's going to be Larry Fitz in Arizona.
Yes.
He's going to have an outstanding career, but just not get the recognition he probably deserves for it. That seems to be where he's kind of heading, because they've just re-upped him. Is he on his second contract now? So he's now in Tampa Bay for the next couple of seasons, easy. But it's the chance that he may have a new quarterback thrown to him next season.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I just felt that if he was at any team that was half decent or had a top 10 QB, he would be lighting it up big time, because the amount of contested catches that he wins.
Okay. Imagine him in Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably exactly what Green Bay needs, right? So
someone like him.
Someone across from Adams. Imagine that would be amazing. So Mike Evans, fun fact for you. He is the first player since 2013 to have 140 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in one half. Steve, you're probably the only person that has maybe seen this player play.
Oh, I can't tell you who it is though, but...
Andre Johnson.
Oh, yes. Absolutely, I have his shirt.
And he also has 5 touchdowns in 4 games against the Giants, so he likes playing them. But yeah, Evans, I just felt he deserves a little bit of love, because he's someone that is, to me, elite, but doesn't really get classed as elite. Mike Evans, peace out.
Will we jump to me?
Yeah, well, we're going to
logical sense, stay in the same game,
stay in the same team.
What was it we said? We're going Bucs Heavy.
We're going Bucs
Heavy, yes. So you want to speak about Shaq Barrett,
yes. So a very quiet, underrated name who has absolutely...
I thought you were going to say game there, and I was like...
No. Name as in name recognition. I mean, I genuinely... I kind of recognised the name, but he seems to have exploded out of nowhere in the last couple of weeks. He's sitting on 8 sacks through 3 games.
More than he had all last season.
Probably. I've got the numbers in front of me in a minute, which I will scroll through in a second. That's equalled the NFL record. He was a draft pick for the Broncos, and this is now, when I started looking at it, it now made a lot of sense as to why. So he's only started playing for Tampa Bay this season, and obviously Todd Bowles has seen something in him and uses him brilliantly off the edge in a way that nobody had. I think possibly the problem when he was at Denver, he would have been behind Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware when he was there early in his career when he got started. Derek Wolfe. I think he's been a byproduct of just being at the wrong time in his career and the wrong person, and he's just got into the right situation and it's just really kicked off. He's only got 22 sacks in the career so far. 8 of them has been the last. 7 of them has been the last 2 weeks. 2014 he actually didn't even make the roster. He was on the practice squad. 2015 he made the squad, etc., etc. On we go. Nothing out of the ordinary at all stats wise until recently. But these 3 games for Tampa Bay, 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, right in about the mix for Defensive Player of the Year by the sounds of things. So it was just somebody that doesn't get a lot of love again, kind of like what you say with Mike Evans. Thought chuck his name out. I do like a defensive player, especially 4 sacks in a game. That's just nonsense.
I think Arians. So what I think you'll see is players that play aggressively, Arians will get the best out of. And I think Barrett is someone that could be really exciting for Bucs fans. So we go Bucs Heavy. I like that saying. I feel like I might start supporting the Bucs because the Redskins are awful.
If you're going to start supporting someone else because your criteria for stopping supporting the first team is they're awful, the Bucs probably isn't the team to go to.
Yeah, just be a different level of torment.
Well, just because we're talking Bucs Heavy anyway, where do we think they're going to go this season?
I'm going to say 500.
Oh, okay, close to halfway then. Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that game should be a win. That's not. That kick should be made. There's no question about it. That kick.
Yeah, definitely.
After 3 weeks, we can probably say they're going to give Carolina quite a good fight in both those games.
Yep.
One of them obviously being in London, so that maybe helps our chances.
That's another team that might have stumbled upon a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Cam being out for the foreseeable, because he's already ruled out for week 4 as well.
Yep.
So yeah, his ankle injury is lingering.
Yeah, we'll see how. I think we'll maybe see how Kyle Allen does over the next few weeks, and he'll no doubt get a slot.
In an upcoming episode.
Yes. So let's move on from the Bucs Heavy portion of the show, and I'm going to speak about Amari Cooper, who is on for a monster year. Actually, now when I look at his stats, so through the first 3 weeks of the season, he's had 16 receptions, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. Which, when you put that up to the full season, he's on for just under 1,300 yards, but 21 touchdowns, which is a bit wild. So I went and looked at last year and who were the sort of, or the names that you want to speak about, sort of going back to who are the elite wide receivers in the league. Hopkins was 115 receptions for 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. Julio 113, nearly 1,700 yards, 8 touchdowns. He obviously went something daft like week 10 before he got into the end zone, wasn't it? Last year it was crazy.
Week after week of outstanding yardage, but couldn't actually.
And AB was 104 receptions, just under 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns. So he's certainly looking like having a season of that kind of elite level production. So he's maybe the guy that rounds out your top 5.
Do you think
Maybe. It's a good shout.
Do you think when Dak gets his $40 million a year, he needs to give Amari some of that?
I think Amari's going to get some himself, isn't he? So
what a trade for the Cowboys that has been. But since he's come in last October, second half of last season, he's absolutely balled out. And he's shown no signs of regressing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw in Oakland was a guy that was clearly capable of outstanding performances, but you'd get them 1 week in 4 if you were lucky.
Very streaky.
Whereas in Dallas, it just seems to fit better, and he seems to be producing these numbers week after week. So in his low game, which was against the Redskins, he only got 44 yards, but he still got into the end zone.
Who didn't?
Any Redskins player?
I was just going to say that I think there's a couple of things that play to factor this. Obviously, first of all, Dallas are a better team than the Raiders, but the balance in attack.
Yes.
You can't.
So you've got Zeke. You
can't
can't stack. You can't double team.
Yeah.
Whereas when he was in Oakland, he would have been a primary target because you don't really
Bingo.
have. Even when Lynch was there, don't think anyone really viewed him as a threat like he was in his Seattle days. So you didn't need to put 9 in the box, 8 in the box, whatever.
Yeah.
You just go stout. You standard 7 at the front. You could contain him. You double coverage Cooper, take him out of the game. No one else in the wide receiver core. Seth Roberts, might get 1 or 2 passes. It was nobody else. JJ Nelson. Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
God, I'm getting there eventually.
Nelson Aguilar.
He got injured anyway, but he was nothing when he came into Oakland. So you're right, Cooper didn't have anybody on the other side.
Yes, so that balance helps, gets the best out of him. It probably, it's helped Dallas full stop, which is delightful for my division.
Jason Witten has surprisingly come back far better than I thought he was going to. A couple of touchdowns, really safe pair of hands.
It's still horrible watching him run though.
Oh, he ambles about ridiculous.
It's still better watching him run than listening to him commentate.
Yeah.
And you've got Gallup on the other side that seems to be having a bit of a... He's
injured
here, isn't it?
Yeah, he's but he
He
was
seemed to
looking
be making
good.
a step up. So the Cowboys are kind of firing everywhere.
Yeah.
They've got that O-line. I think you just mentioned that. You did. Yeah, that's
Yep.
fine. I'm zoning out when I was reading stuff. Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, I think Cooper sort of elevating himself into that elite bracket of wide receivers in the league, and that sort of rounds all of that up, and we'll talk about our little prediction league that we have on the go here. So last week we had Raiders at Vikings was our first game. Steve and I both went Raiders. Gav went Vikings.
Well, that was a washout.
That was a
That was still running.
Yet more 1,000 yards
Yeah.
in a game. Yeah, he's what 300-yard games on the bounce this season.
Tell you
Derek,
what.
leading the league.
The Raiders will not have Derek Carr as a starter next season.
The way
You
he's
think?
playing.
I don't think he'll be a starter next season.
He's the thing that's holding them back at the minute.
He was pretty crap. I know the Vikings are good, right?
Too though, wasn't he?
I just don't think that.
No, they're not sold on him.
If Gruden's saying that he wants to take them back to former heights, Derek Carr is not taking you to Super Bowls. He's not taking you to playoffs. So
He has only flashed one really good season.
yeah, and that was what
in his
3
career
years
so
ago
far.
now.
Yeah. It was the first year I watched really closely. It was the year that Carr had his really good year and then broke his leg towards the end of it.
And you know what? It's a shame because if he doesn't have that injury, maybe he is still a good.
Yeah, because actually they looked electric going into those playoffs, and who knows what would have happened then, and the confidence that would have given him and the organisation as a whole.
Talk about quarterbacks with funny legs. Did you see Smith walking out on Monday night?
Oh, I've not seen it yet. No.
Smith, no, he walked out in the field. No crutches or
sweet.
anything. But everyone with the comment next to the video was always like, "This looks like a guy who's never going to play again."
Yeah, he's still
ambling.
heavily limping a year on.
Yeah.
He's never playing again.
He's strong.
Hopefully, Case Keenum doesn't have to play again either.
Maybe a player focus next week if he gets another game like this week.
I don't ever watch the Redskins.
Back to the
So back to the predictions. So Gav won and us none from that game, and then the other ones, Ravens at Chiefs, we all went Chiefs, we all got that right.
Ooh.
Panthers at Cardinals, we all went Cardinals, and we all got that wrong. So the overall score is Gav leads the way on 5. I've
5
got
out of 6. That's
3
pretty
of
good
the
going.
6
You should be
correct.
Ben.
I was just going to say, I think
Steve's on 2.
Nearly managed to cut you off there, so you didn't mention that.
I don't think any of us expected Kyle Allen to be as good as he was.
Nope, not at all.
I don't think we expected the Cards D to be as soft as they were.
Yeah. And as we said earlier, Kyler Murray took a lot of sacks. He took 8 sacks in that game. But on the flip side of that, most of them happened towards the end of the game where
They're chasing it.
the Panthers already had a reasonable lead, so they were able to then just blitz, and they got through that soft O-line
He's going to be,
so often.
because the Cards play 4 wideouts pretty much every single play, he's going to be one of the most sacked regardless of how good your O-line is anyway. So you could have the Dallas O-line in front of him, and I reckon still be high numbers just because of the way you
you're
set up.
not getting any protection from tight ends as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on to this week's predictions. The first game that we are going to predict is the Redskins at the Giants.
Do we have to speak about the Redskins?
Yes, we do.
Giants hands down.
Gav instantly throws his own team under the bus. I pretty
Jake
much have
Gruden
to
threw
agree with
my
you.
team under the bus.
So there was a news report. Gruden is not worried about job security in DC.
Can I
That's a lot of
throw
rubbish.
one quick caveat from the Redskins' point of view? The way we could get a result is if the defence plays lights out against Daniel Jones, because we actually done pretty well against the Bears. O-line's good. We got to Trubisky a couple of times. So if we can get Jones under pressure, Montez Sweat got his first sack in the league, which was good. So that's
Some guy called Josh Norman got an interception.
This first in about 7 years.
You must have been gutted and seen that one. I was thinking, this is the year you can get rid of Norman and his contract. And if he's going to start picking out balls, you're like, damn, you're going to have to keep him around for another
Do you
season.
know Josh Norman and Jay Gruden are bad for my mental health?
You should tweet them that.
Yeah.
I think they need to know.
Yeah.
So I suppose Giants don't have Saquon though. But as we sort of said earlier, they didn't have him for a good chunk of the game against Tampa Bay. I still think I'm going to side with the Giants, but I totally get your point. I think the Redskins' defense could come in and cause some havoc. Yeah.
Our defense is really good. It's just they're on the field so much because our offense is so bad.
It's in New York. I think Daniel Jones was this week's game. Were they in Tampa Bay?
They were in Tampa Bay.
Wait, so this is his first home game starting. Was there going to be was there going to be a massive media circus about that? Would it be a distraction for him?
Potentially.
Possibly.
Or is he going to get that? This is my first home game, confidence. But he's going to be really.
There's 2 ways it can go, really, isn't it?
Really up for it. Who's your run defense?
Our run defense is good. It's just like I said, they're on the field so much. Like our front is good. Josh Allen's good. Deron Payne's good.
So you're very much going to keep him in the pocket and force him to actually beat you through the air.
If you look at the games we got beat, the game against Philadelphia was absolutely all on the secondary. The secondary blew so many plays. The one Josh Norman gave to Deshaun Jackson could not have been any worse. So it's our secondary that's soft, which is worse because it's a passing league now, isn't it? So
yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go for the Redskins on this one. Just to kind of be
cause some havoc.
Opposite to you guys.
No other
Make
reason.
it interesting. And no, actually, New York scored a lot of points but gave up a lot of points against Tampa. And I think I think this game will go the opposite way. I think it'll be fairly low scoring.
Really?
Because I do. I think that.
I think it'll be high scoring nonsense.
I think it'll be quite a low scoring game.
Goes back to what he played in week 1 and 2 and not last week. He had a stinker last week.
He still threw for 300 yards, but just
4 interceptions.
Yeah, it was awful.
As I said to you earlier on, that 4th and 1 play.
Oh my God!
To try and get the first down, and he did a sort of goal line dive and pulled the ball back, and then got it knocked out his hand. It's like, what are you doing? Because as soon as he pulls the ball back, that's where the ball's going to get marked. He's not going to get forward progress on where he's stretched out.
He should know that. He should know that.
So was it a break the plane? It wasn't the goal line.
No, it wasn't goal line, but that was the tactic that he took.
So he went, right, I've got the first down, then pulled it back.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
And then the ball got knocked out of his hand, and it was a fumble. And it got recovered.
Did you see when I tagged you where Vernon Davis was hurdling nobody?
Yes, that was an interesting play as well.
He tried to hurdle the tackle, completely timed it wrong, and just looked like he skipped through fresh air.
he hurdled and landed in front of the ball. Not even on him, in front of him.
Oh no, dear.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was great.
Second game we're going to have a stab at here is the Jaguars at the Broncos.
This will be a good game, I think.
Yep.
I think it's quite a season-defining game for both teams, to be honest. The Broncos probably need to win, otherwise
they need it. Otherwise, they're in danger of going to complete free fall. Because it's all about confidence, and if they go to 0-4, they're then going to be against the caution of where's the first win coming from, and you flame out your whole season.
Is Drew Lock injured? I feel like I've read that somewhere.
No, off the top of my head.
Because your Flacco time belt could be getting tighter.
Yeah. I don't
know how much of it's his fault.
The issue though.
No,
Flacco. I've not heard massive positives from how the Broncos have played. The one thing that everyone's talking about the Broncos is where is their defense? Where is Von Miller and Derek Wolfe? Derek Wolfe I think got injured.
Yeah, he did get injured.
But they are not generating any pressure, and they should be, especially with Fangio moving from Chicago and what he's got there.
Maybe it's time living in a new system.
Yeah, something's going a bit wrong there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we already alluded to it earlier when we were talking about how the Jags are sort of slowly turning things around. I think the Jags probably do go in and win that one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be easy though.
I think I go Jags as well.
So you're both going Jags.
Yeah, I think but I mean, it is again. It's another we like picking these really ones that could go either way.
This is like a 2017 game, I think.
I do think this is a really tight one. I was inclined to go Jags as well, but I don't want to because I want there to be some interest in these leagues. I don't want to disagree and everything. So I'm going to go Broncos just for the banner.
Well, you better pick first in game 3 then, because you've twice had to, because you've gone last, had to go the other way.
So the last game is the Titans at the Falcons. poorer
Whoa,
teams.
that's a
as
tough
we
game.
said. Tough game. I'm going to throw my prediction out there before you guys say anything, so that I can. So I'm going to go that this will be a Falcons win.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, so I'll probably stick with the Titans, right? And
Going into Atlanta?
yeah, no, I'm not sold on the Falcons, right? So Matt Ryan's playing okay, and Julio Jones is having a pretty good season. But you can't win with just him, because they did that last year. And obviously it was the Atlanta defence that was the issue last year.
And it
They've
looks
lost
like an
Cam
issue
Newell now.
again.
They've just lost Cam Newell for the whole
Yep.
season again, so that's a massive hole. You're already
And their
opening
defence
up
wasn't
there.
playing well already.
Anyway, yeah. And okay, you've got the whole... So earlier on we were talking about how bad the Titans O-line was going to be, and
Yep.
then you look at the matchup, who's going to play on this week, and that would be the defence you'd probably stream in. I looked at this and I thought, Falcons? No, I'm not taking the Falcons defence.
No.
They're not going to get like 8 sacks.
No.
I don't know what they're going to do. So then I kind of sit back and go, right, so then it's up to Mariota to feed Henry and just ram the ball down their throat for a whole game.
The Titans
And if
run
that's how you
defense, the Falcons run defense is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry could go off and win in this game.
Mhm.
But this is a really tough game. I'm in two minds because losing to the Jags last week, the Titans were a bit of a damp squib.
Mm-hmm.
After, there was a bit of positivity of the way they played before that. However, there's just something in this that tells me Julio Jones is going to light this one up, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. It's like demotivational, but on the flip side, they've had a 10-day break because they played on the Thursday. They get a
Oh
bit
yeah, I
more
forgot
run
about
time
that actually.
in, which
I'll go
is
Titans.
The other bit
I'll go
that's
Titans.
You're going Titans. So
so
it's
Steve
me and
Sweet.
Gav have got the same.
Me and Steve are the same team this week.
yeah, and I am the opposite.
So it's all or nothing. If somebody's guaranteed to win every game, that's the... Oh, maybe ties. What are we going to do about ties? Oh, dilemma.
Ties is
Hold
just
on, wait a
equal.
minute.
Nobody gets it.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it. Nobody gets a point. Okay, that's fair enough.
And they're so rare anyway.
Yeah,
that
it shouldn't be
Apart
much
from
of an issue.
your Cardinals.
Yeah, but even it's the only one that's happened so far this season, isn't it?
A couple of quick noticeable games just while I'm scanning through here what's coming up. We've got New England at Buffalo, both 3-0.
2-3-0 teams, yeah,
It's gonna
that's
be interesting.
very interesting. How,
you kind of
as
think
we all
the
get
juggernaut
to
isn't gonna
watch
stop,
the Bills go to 3-1. So
but they're having a hell of a season so far. But on the flip side of that, the Monday night game, we've got 2 0-3 teams. We've got Cincinnati travelling to Pittsburgh.
Do we have
So-
to watch it?
no, it's Monday
No,
night, thankfully, so it's out with our time zones, which is brilliant.
But
Well,
just from a pure results
that'll be a
wise,
tie.
the chance that
Nil.
yeah, there's a good chance, because of the way the schedule's fallen, there will be a 4-0 team guaranteed, and there will be a 0-4 team pretty much guaranteed
Yeah.
by the end of this weekend.
How many 3-0 teams are there?
3-0s, we've got Dallas going into New Orleans, so not so sure on that one. Elliott at home at Tampa Bay, so they could kind of keep that one going. New England at Buffalo. Green Bay at home at Philly. Actually, I quite fancy Green Bay to win that one because their defence has been kicking arse. Kansas City going to Detroit. Ooh.
That's
Ooh.
is that in Detroit?
In Detroit.
In Detroit.
Is it?
Yeah, Detroit are at
I
home.
had that in my head that was the
It's
other
at
way.
Arrowhead. Yeah, no, it's in Detroit. So
That could be a tough one.
Yes, that could be a
stinky.
tough one. The only thing is it's
I'm
obviously
gonna
indoor
assume-
stadium, so it's sort of perfect conditions for Mahomes to do Mahomes.
Can we
things,
talk
isn't
about
it?
just quickly Mecole Hardman being Tyreek Hill light?
Oh, that
play.
87-yarder
Oh
he was
my
taking it.
God.
that boy has wheels?
Was it, he ran, was it 4.26?
4.2.
Yeah,
That's super fast.
Crazy.
That's very fast.
That is crazy.
there was one play he went all the way across the backfield
That's
and up
right.
the other side, which was just ludicrous as well.
Yeah, they're not really missing Hill, which is scary.
Scary for the Chiefs.
Back. Yeah.
Scary.
So yeah, that is a very interesting one, and I had a feeling that Detroit would cause an upset in Philadelphia
Yeah, you
last
said
week.
that.
I did say that before the game started. And I was actually, this morning I had planned on speaking about Matt Patricia and how he's got the Lions going up.
The Detroit Patriots.
The
Well,
Detroit
if they win this
yes.
weekend, you're pretty much guaranteed to talk about them next week then, I think.
Yes, I think there's a good chance that that'll be one of our 3 games that we talk about. to be fair.
We're probably gonna get New England at Buffalo though at the 6 o'clock
Ugh.
slot our time, aren't we? I think.
Well,
Because
we have to.
if we didn't get Kansas City last week, I would have put odds on we would have got that game.
I'll watch
Yeah.
it until it's 21-0 to the Patriots.
And they go red zone.
Yeah. Hopefully Josh Allen can cause an upset.
We'll see. They usually announce it tomorrow. It's usually by Thursday we know what games are going on.
Yeah. So I think that sums up the 50th episode of the American Fitbaw Cast. You guys got anything to say before we sign off?
Just the usual, thanks to everyone for continuing to listen. Those that take time to like, share, tell your friends, all that, really do appreciate it. 50 down, 50 more to go. Actually,
are you giving up at 100? Is that a resignation?
Well, no.
You did.
Too old then. There is technically this is episode 50, but because we did the quarters,
they were one episode.
Yeah, I know, but in terms of the number of episodes you've listened to, some people will be ahead of 50.
They will.
Just on a technicality. Yeah, shut up, Steve. Okay. Point taken.
So yeah, as Steve said, thank you for listening. Enjoy the weekend of games ahead. Talk to us, find us on Twitter at the AFcast, search the American Fitbaw Cast on Facebook, like, share, review, tell your friends, and we will speak to you again next week.
Bucs Heavy.
You've been listening to another great podcast from the Fair City Podcast Network, a group dedicated to connecting and developing podcasts. Check out fcpod.net for more great podcasts and content.